Scene script. Have you ever wondered how Portugal, a country known for its explorers and delightful port wine, came to be? Our story begins in the misty corridors of prehistory when the Iberian Peninsula, where modern-day Portugal sits, was inhabited by a host of ancient cultures. Among the earliest were the Celts, a group of tribal societies known for their artistry and warrior ethos. The Celts left an indelible mark on what would become Portugal, influencing its language, music, and even folklore. If you've ever marveled at the hauntingly beautiful Celtic music of the region, you felt the whisper of this ancient culture. However, the Celtic influence was just the first brushstroke on the canvas of Portugal's history. As time moved on, a new power set its sights on the Iberian Peninsula. Enter the Romans. They came in the 2nd century BC, and their arrival marked a significant turning point in the history of the region. The Roman occupation brought with it the imprint of Roman culture, law, and, most importantly, infrastructure. Roman roads, bridges, and aqueducts crisscrossed the region, connecting it to the vast expanse of the Roman Empire. The Romans also introduced viticulture to the region, the cultivation of grapevines, which laid the foundation for Portugal's world-renowned wine industry. Over time, the region that would become Portugal evolved under Roman rule, adopting Latin, the language of the Romans, which morphed over centuries into Portuguese. The Roman province of Lusitania, which covered most of modern-day Portugal, even provided an emperor to Rome, the philosopher-king Marcus Aurelius. Yet as all empires do, Rome eventually fell, leaving a power vacuum in its wake. The region saw an influx of Germanic tribes, such as the Suebi and the Visigoths, who further added to the cultural melting pot. And thus Portugal began to take shape under the rule of the Romans. It's a fascinating journey from prehistoric times to the dawn of Portugal, a story of different cultures leaving their imprints, shaping a nation that would soon carve out its own unique path in history. But what would happen when the Romans left? Would Portugal continue to thrive? As it turns out, the departure of the Romans from the Iberian Peninsula in the 5th century ushered in a new era of influence and change. Enter the Moors, a Muslim people from North Africa who swept across the region in the 8th century. They brought with them a rich and vibrant culture, deeply influencing Portugal's architecture, language, and arts. The Moorish occupation is particularly noticeable in the southern region of Algarve and the architectural wonders of places like Silves, with its majestic castle bearing distinct Moorish features. The Moors introduced new agricultural techniques and crops, and their influence on Portuguese cuisine is still palpable today. They also left an indelible mark on the Portuguese language, with hundreds of Portuguese words of Arabic origin. However, the Moorish reign was not to last forever. A Christian movement to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula, known as the Reconquista, was gaining momentum. This was a series of wars and battles fought over several centuries, with the Christian forces gradually pushing the Moors further south. The decisive moment came in 1139 with the Battle of Urique. Here, Afonso Henriques, who would later become the first king of Portugal, led his forces to a significant victory against the Moors. This victory was monumental. It was the moment that Portugal began to emerge as a nation separate from the rest of the Iberian Peninsula. Afonso Henriques declared himself king, and the Kingdom of Portugal was officially recognized in 1179 by the Pope. This marked the end of the Reconquista in Portugal, although it would continue in the rest of Spain until the end of the 15th century. So the departure of the Romans did not signal the end for Portugal. Instead, it opened the door to a new era of change and growth. The Moorish influence left a lasting legacy on Portugal's culture and architecture, while the Reconquista set the stage for the establishment of a distinct and independent nation. The Kingdom of Portugal was born, ready to carve its own destiny. Have you ever wondered how a small nation like Portugal led the way in exploration? Let's dive into the Age of Discoveries, a period that saw Portugal emerge as a global power. In the 15th century, Portugal was a country with big dreams. A sense of curiosity and daring filled the air, fueling an era of exploration that would change the world. At the forefront of this golden age were some of the most notable explorers history has ever known. Consider Vasco da Gama, an intrepid seafarer whose name echoes through the annals of time. In 1497, da Gama achieved what was once thought impossible: a direct sea route from Europe to India. This was no small feat. It meant bypassing the dangerous and costly land routes controlled by Middle Eastern powers. With this newfound route, Portugal unlocked the riches of the East, notably the lucrative spice trade. Then there was Ferdinand Magellan, a man whose ambition was as vast as the ocean itself. In 1519, he embarked on an expedition that would forever etch his name in history. Despite devastating setbacks and daunting odds, Magellan's expedition achieved the first circumnavigation of the globe. While Magellan himself did not live to complete the journey, his legacy lived on, proving the world was indeed round and far larger than anyone had imagined. But Portugal's influence didn't stop at spices and circumnavigation. Its explorers ventured westward too, leading to the colonization of Brazil. This vast South American land became a jewel in Portugal's crown, rich with resources like sugar, gold, and later diamonds. The Age of Discoveries was a time of audacious exploration and unprecedented expansion for Portugal. This small nation dared to dream big, to venture into the unknown, and in doing so, it altered the world's understanding of geography, trade, and culture. The Age of Discoveries put Portugal on the world stage, forever changing the course of history. But as with all tales of glory, there were also times of downfall and resurgence. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another time. But what happens when the Golden Age ends? Can a nation rise from its ashes? Let's delve into a darker chapter of Portugal's history. A time of decline and despair, but also of resilience and resurgence. The loss of its colonies in the late 17th century marked the beginning of Portugal's fall. As the wealth and resources from overseas dwindled, the country spiraled into economic hardship. It was a stark contrast to the prosperity of the Age of Discoveries. Then, in 1755, disaster struck. A catastrophic earthquake followed by a tsunami and fires reduced Lisbon, the heart of Portugal, to rubble. The devastation was immense, with an estimated 85% of the city's buildings annihilated. It was a blow from which many believed Portugal could never recover, but the country's trials were far from over. The early 19th century brought the Napoleonic invasion. As French forces marched into Lisbon, the Portuguese royal family fled to Brazil, leaving their homeland behind. Portugal became a battlefield, its people suffering under the yoke of foreign rule. Yet it's often in the face of adversity that the true character of a nation is revealed. Portugal was no exception. The restoration of the Portuguese monarchy in 1822 marked a turning point. It was a time of rebuilding, of reclaiming national identity. Then, with the establishment of the First Republic in 1910, Portugal entered a new phase. The monarchy was abolished, and a democratic government, committed to modernization and reform, took its place. It was a period of renewal, of laying the groundwork for the Portugal we know today. And so, through the ashes of its past, Portugal rose. It navigated the rough waters of its history, weathered the storms, and emerged stronger. It's a testament to the resilience of its people, to their indomitable spirit. Despite the odds, Portugal managed to rise again, reinventing itself for a new era. And what about Portugal today? What has become of this nation of explorers and survivors? Let's fast forward to the 20th century, when Portugal fell under the iron grip of Antonio de Oliveira Salazar, who ruled with an authoritarian hand. From 1926 to 1974, Portugal was under the Estado Novo, or New State, a period marked by severe political repression and strict social control. However, the Portuguese spirit of resilience shone through once again in the form of the Carnation Revolution in 1974. In a nearly bloodless coup, the Portuguese people overthrew the dictatorship, marking the end of the Estado Novo and paving the way for democracy. This revolution led to the establishment of the Third Republic, a parliamentary democracy that stands to this day. It was a significant turning point in Portugal's history, a testament to the people's desire for freedom and self-determination. In the years following the revolution, Portugal has continued to evolve and adapt. It became a member of the European Union in 1986, further integrating it into the global community. This membership has allowed Portugal to develop economically and politically, contributing to the prosperity and stability the country enjoys today. Modern Portugal is a vibrant and diverse nation, boasting a strong economy, a rich cultural heritage, and a high standard of living. It has made significant strides in various fields, from science and technology to arts and sports. Portugal has given the world renowned footballers like Cristiano Ronaldo, and has become a top destination for tourists seeking its beautiful landscapes, historic cities, and world-class cuisine. Yet, despite its modern advances, Portugal has not forgotten its roots. The spirit of exploration and resilience that marked its history continues to inspire its present and future. From its early beginnings to its modern-day triumphs, Portugal's history is a testament to resilience and the spirit of discovery. Indeed, the story of Portugal is a story of a people who have constantly reinvented themselves, who have survived and thrived through the challenges of history, and who continue to forge ahead into the future.